Today's date is the 12th of the 12th, 2024. It's 9:13 p.m. We're going to talk about Candace Owens and Phil Tourney and the latest stuff on the USS Liberty, which is quite big news, I have to say, within the context of things and what's going on. But we're also going to talk about a few other things as well. Phil, I met briefly online in 2010 when they did a video with me with Joe Cortina, Green Beret Joe Cortina, and they were doing a video for me for my court case in 2011. Unfortunately, I couldn't use it and I couldn't enter anything into evidence, and the rest is history. We need to talk about this and a few other things, including this brief chat with Dr. Mahathir Mohamad of Malaysia. You may remember him and his comments on Jews, Jewish power, and political Zionism. I want to, this is a mad monk, so this is very brief. I got caught up in a bunch of things, potting plants and amongst other things, but I also needed to do some research for a big video tomorrow. But I just want to go over what's currently going on with the Trump administration and what actually happened when Congressional Candidate Mary Silva attended a MAGA meeting. I'm going to read what they said to her verbatim. This is what they said. Do you remember how I previously said to you in this video up here, sorry, this understanding AI, quantum, everything, every missile, every act of bloodshed is about this new system. We're going to go into that tomorrow. But what I wanted to do was have a positive spin on the Trump train. I believe there is a positive spin to be had here. I don't like what's going on, but as I say in that article, we need to think big, not trust the plan, but we've got to see things in a political context, how to run a planet rather than how to run a YouTube channel. Now, Mary went to this MAGA meeting. She actually got pretty angry. There's about 50 people there. And here is verbatim what a guy said at the meeting. So these are the messengers sent out across the land to say, trust the plan. This is their version of trust the plan. You ready? Mary said to me, well, tell me what you think anyway. I'll I was just given some advice on how to approach these people, particularly to do with Israel and other things, and that is to go after them on, you remember this article, whoa, The Guardian. Israel's former Soviet migrants transform adopted country. The commies, the GRU penetration, and that's a good way to approach this. The damn commies are taking on beloved holy Israel. So, you ready? She's already gone over that stuff with them, says it just doesn't gel. They're on a mission. Yes, they are on a mission. These are the MAGA faithful. You ready? He said this exactly. I have permission to show you this. Is it going to focus? He said this exactly. The globalists used us as the enforcers to continue the old colonial system. Trump is going to reorganize the relationship of the nations of the world on the basis of sovereignty. In other words, we're done with empires. The United States is no longer going to be an empire. We're going to be very powerful. It's going to have more power as a nation than it's ever had before, but it's not an empire and no longer serves to exist as a controller of other nations. End quote. He said it is different from the multipolar world order plan. They're shifting to a world of sovereign nation states free from the old world order. And he also said he was saying that people's identities are going to be uprooted, their way of thinking about the world will be challenged, that all these changes will be implemented very rapidly. Anyway, that's what they said at the MAGA meeting, and I believe that is across all of America. They are saying the same thing. Now, when I instruct Trump on what to do, and let's face it, he's doing everything he should be doing geopolitically. So I put a spin on that on this article here. And I'm going to go over it again. I don't like it either. I don't like seeing Ari and Ari Emanuel and Rahm Emanuel sniffing around, particularly Ari Emanuel, hosing down the white whale Musk. But there's clearly things going on. I'm not asking you to trust the plan, but I am asking you to consider this. Look, most of the people, the faithful of my small flock, and I really enjoyed the live stream we did. I don't know why. I really enjoyed it a lot. I've had a bit of a dark night of the soul and had to rethink everything, uh, my own personal health and mental health and everything, and how I'm approaching things or not approaching things. And I believe, as much as I don't like Trump personally and never have, never will, whatever, as long as he continues to do the right thing. Now, the big problem is, of course, who's sniffing around. And we're going to talk about that in the next video tomorrow. But exactly what Mary said is exactly what I said needs to happen. The United States just rules. It has a holy Bible. It's called the US Constitution. If someone else wants to get a constitution as good as that and spread the good word, I'll follow you. But until then, I'm following the United States. There's nothing else that you can do other than cry and bitch and sell coffee mugs on TVs. Find your demographic, find your hopefully real people and not just fake bots and crap, and God knows what will come out in the books and movies and documentaries to come about just how much control they had over with automated systems about on the online world. But I just want to focus. We're in a prison where I've been for 3 years, so prison was a real education for me. And when you go to prison, when you see people like who came out swinging, good old Steve Bannon, the rhetoric's great. Everything I've seen so far is exactly what has to happen, and they're not even in yet. Give it a year. Let's see what happens over the next 12 months. There's going to be something very interesting in the new video too. I watched Konstantin, a guy, a Russian expat, and pushing hard 5G. And I'm thinking, what the hell is Russia doing pushing 5G? And they're aiming for 2030, they said. 16 Russian cities are going to have all this new 5G stuff. And he's sitting there going, what are you even talking about? And there's going to be a new, like Starlink Russian system. And I believe what it indicates is the deals have already been done. Putin's going to be left in. He's going to be dancing to the new tune of his new masters. And we're going to have to very close look at Trump and this AI stuff that's coming out. Trump runs nothing. Please, do you seriously think Trump is running everything, particularly this time around? Trump is doing exactly what he's told. We know Susie Wiles, we know all this other stuff. You're just really going to have to understand that if you feel it's that bad, then my suggestion is that you just pack up, get your guns, get 10,000 rounds of ammos and head to the hills. I mean, what's the point of sitting online bitching about it? To what, prove you're right? So basically you're full of shit. So I don't want to speak to you. But what I do want to do is to suggest to you that you remain engaged, hold whatever views you have about Trump personally, hold them, they're yours, it's not a problem. But you need to either run away now, drop everything and fuck off and I never hear from you again, or online that is, or you engage with the Trump tards. You engage with, I have no respect for anyone who worships a president. I have no respect for any half-witted fool that buys this psychological warfare bullshit. And it is psychological warfare. I don't care whether it's for good or ill. It's psychological warfare. I don't believe for a single second that, I mean, I can't speak to someone who's this, I don't care what their psychology is. I don't care that I should open my heart and give them a hug because they're scared and they're joining a group because they're scared. I don't give a shit anymore. It's the year 2024 and if you're still that fucking stupid, the door closes. Remember, when he comes, the door will close. He says, hey, I've given you plenty of chances. There's no more chances after this. If you fall for this shit again, the door will shut in your fucking face. So I don't want to hear any fucking excuses anymore. And the good thing is, a lot of the Trump tards, and I call them Trump tards, but they're actually pretty clued up now. They woke up a lot after good old Q. A lot of people woke up after good old C, COVID. And a lot of people, I've seen them waking up. And we're going to look at another C, Candace Owens, in a bit, and Phil Tourney. It's being pushed hard. Something, I don't want to say something good is happening, because that's not the feeling. Something very interesting is happening. Something has changed, but I can't tell you if it's good or ill. I really can't tell you where it leads. Other than this, here's what helps me. Number one, the big picture stuff. And so far, the rhetoric's fantastic. He's not in yet. We'll see what his administration does. I believe a lot of it is distraction, theater. And, you know, when you take over a system, and we'll talk about it in the next video, which I'll make tomorrow. And it may not be up tomorrow. It might be up the next day because I want to do a little bit of editing. I believe we're on the cusp of something. I'm not asking you to trust the plan, relax, and just don't worry about it. No, no, no. I'm asking you to keep infiltrating and keep pushing the good news of Israel, Russian penetration, and what we talked about in terms of that City of London network. I believe it is being dismantled. When you want to dismantle it, you've got to take it over. So you'll put some key people in to keep the markets happy, keep the managerial class happy in certain aspects. However, I'm not really entirely happy. Why do you have to use Susie Wiles? Why? Why? There must be 10, 20 people you could use, but you've used Susie Wiles. And I didn't realize she's been there the whole damn time. The whole damn time. But what I ask you to do is this: reactionaries draw on a few things, convenient facts that suit them, and then fail to do a lot of other things. You're belligerent and cynical, and I do get that, but there's going to be things I discuss in the next video, which I wrote on this article on my Patreon, and I write about certain things. And the positive things, which you never talk about, know nothing about, and never factor into your analysis. Your analysis is reactionary. You take three things you don't like, but suit you, like a baby. I didn't get what I wanted. But the points you raise are valid, but your conclusions are wrong. You can't bring those conclusions you have. You can speculate, but you can't draw those conclusions tightly. But I confess, I'm a little confused about why. I guess that's what the point of destabilized perception, would we say, to be confused. When you put up weird stuff, I understand that, but Susie Wiles, you had to use Susie Wiles? Or did you just believe you had everyone in the bag, except David Knight and a few other people? It's a little bit like, huh? You couldn't use someone else? Anyway, please remember that the ubiquitous deep state holds a lot of power and has a lot of power, and they love their children too. And we have seen the sudden change when the polarization just suddenly stopped. Donald Trump is so corrupt that they could destroy Donald Trump in a heartbeat, and they never have. They never really tried. So on the surface, the rage is real, but beneath the surface, Department of Defense, FBI, stuff like that, a lot of other places, I put to you something which I know, which you don't know, and I understand and you don't understand. They didn't know. A lot of these people didn't know. Just like in 2005, when I was 2005, I was 34 years old. I was in Esperance, and I wrote a post on Liberty Forum. Was it Knowledge ABS? And that post was, my name is Donnie Darko, and I'm a former Zionist denier. Because I just couldn't believe that you could have a conspiracy that deep, that complicated, and that controlling. It took me years to fully grasp the power of the political Zionist movement and Jewish power. Hofjuden, Royals of Europe, 13 families. It just sounded too far out, too much to believe. My name is Donnie Darko. That was my screen name, and I am a former Zionist denier. 2005. That's when I finally got it. I just thought, well, it's just another power group, not the power group, or they're the power group. Don't worry about that. Because I'd read Professor Carol Quigley, Tragedy and Hope. I'd read, I watched the BBC, I watched PBS NewsHour, Frontline, and the ABC and the Special Broadcasting Service in Australia, which is pretty good. So I read books, so, I was clued up. It's more complicated than that, but man, it really is that simple. Who prints the money rules the world. It's amazing. What a story. What a story. But you've really got to understand that big picture and not just palm it all off and just say it's all a rigged game. Is it a rig? It is a rigged game. I'm just not sure it's rigged for evil. They love their children too. All those tens of thousands of Department of Defense employees, intelligence community, CIA, NSA, DIA, all of the three-letter acronyms. Somebody's going to have to rule. And we may as well just make it the United States, even if that fulfills Bible prophecy. Just make it the United States. And then you'll know. That's the thing, you can't lose. Make the United States the most powerful mother on this planet, a jolly green giant walking the land with guns. But this time soft power, which the US has always had. Who wouldn't want freedom? But why would they want that? As Dustin Hoffman says in Wag the Dog. Freedom. What a funny concept, until you lose it, until you're involved in a court case where you're getting locked up for crap and you're just sitting there in stunned disbelief. It's only then that you start taking that piece of paper seriously. It is a divinely inspired document. So let's make America great, all-powerful, and a absolute seething monster, and then see what happens. One way or the other, you're going to know. You're going to know. You can bitch about it online and sell coffee mugs and t-shirts, say how angry you are. Get on board and start getting involved. If you're in the United States or anywhere else, wherever you find something that you can get involved in face to face. But if you're in the US, everything's at your fingertips and you can get in there and get in people's faces. You can support Mary Silva, congressional candidate. I believe she is being groomed for future office. Without question. Put to the side though, not ready for you yet, sweet cheeks. Just make me a coffee. Sorry, I just had to. Mary doesn't like when I say that, but they want a whole new generation. You know, it's the movie The Adjustment Bureau with Matt Damon and what's her name, Emily Blunt. This is the reality. It's going to take decades and decades, but we'll know. We'll know if it's going to just be a dirty, stinking empire. If they're just going to lock us in a smoke, we'll know. And then you'll decide what you want to do with 300 million firearms. If you want to assassinate CEOs walking down the street, whatever you want to do. I'm not suggesting that, but geez, are we supposed to be sorry? I don't know. Look, I'm not even going to look at that stuff. I don't know what's going on and I don't care. I'm just interested in whether the United States is going to walk the earth all powerful and we begin the process. It's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. With the process where that grassroots movement says, this is a divinely inspired document. The individual matters. I matter. And without freedom, I cannot self-actualize. I cannot individuate. The acorn, what? The acorn. Tiny little thing. Look at that 666. Let me do a few pyramids for you. Woo! You read Codex Magica by God bless him. King James Bible or bust, Tex Mars. May he rest in peace. Thanks, Tex, for your support. The acorn. Think about that little seed. It's like this. All-seeing eye for you. Elon Musk. Becomes a giant oak tree. Well, the acorn can become an oak and not a donkey, as Carl Jung said. And you can't do that if you can't breathe freely. To breathe freely, to have those basic principles, not perfection, but those basic principles burned into your popular culture. Burned into your popular culture. Only the United States has it. It must be preserved. See what happens. That's it. There is no one else, just the United States. So my suggestion is you get down to your latest Trump Tower meeting, wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, and push the Bible of national security, the narrative, the invasion of Israel by those evil Russian commies. Sorry, Russians, you just have to be evil for a little longer. Don't worry. The truth will always come out. And we can begin the process of Jews, Christians, and Muslims getting together, communists, everyone sincere good hearts, willing to sacrifice. See, that's what makes you resonate on a much higher frequency when you are willing to sacrifice for something you believe in. You resonate at a higher frequency. You really do. And I have enormous, like Che Guevara, he never sold out. Maybe he should have been smarter or opened his heart, but you know, he was there with good old, and I know the whole history of Che Guevara, I know the whole history of Cuba and Fidel Castro, and Eisenhower loved them, then didn't love them, and you know, we know the story. But good old Che Guevara died in the jungles, believing what he was doing. And it was said that when the revolution finished in Cuba and Khrushchev was visiting, they brought out all the finest china, and Che Guevara said to Fidel Castro, I see the revolution has brought out the finest china, and he left in disgust to continue the fight. Sorry, can't help but love it. I'm a hopeless romantic. What can I tell you? Are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice a weekend, couple of spicy pumpkin lattes? I don't know, you tell me. Money, time, effort. Could be fun. The bottom line is this, get involved. Put the pressure on. Let them know. Look at all that brilliant rhetoric of Bannon. I want to see that mimicked. I don't want to see whether we have a central bank digital currency or not. We're getting a central bank digital currency. Bring it on. Minus your fucking ledger system, which binds binds that decentralized crypto style token to everything in my life, including my biometric ID card. Let's see. Look, what are they going to do? They're going to roll out the toys, roll out the goodies, and we're just all going to fall for it. I don't buy that. I don't buy it for a second. And it's not about us, the nobodies sitting here mouthing off. You know, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. And there we are mouthing off on fucking YouTube or whatever social media platform we're on. Hopefully, somebody's going to pay us some freaking cash so we can sit under our cheap Chinese lights and give our opinions out. Well, there's a planet to run. What are we going to do about it? There's clear signs to me, massive signs. We'll only have to watch what I see on YouTube. Let's talk about Candace Owens. Let's talk about Phil Tourney. God bless him. Where are you, Candace? 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 Here's Candace. There's Phil. Phil Tourney. Thanks, Phil. I still got your video somewhere you sent me back in 2011, 2010. 2010, Joe Cortina. Joe went crazy. I hope you're still alive, Joe. I admired you a lot, but I don't know what happened. But anyway, well, let's watch this bit if you haven't seen this before. This is about the USS Liberty. What do we got here? It's over 2 million views. It went up yesterday. Candace Owens, I can understand why Candace has an audience. Very attractive woman. She presents things well. Whatever you think of her, I can understand why she has 3 million subscribers. For the life of me, Ben Shapiro, who we're going to see now as Phil Tourney taunts him, how anyone watches whiny little Ben Shapiro, how anyone watches that fucking clown is absolutely beyond me. Anyway, Phil gives a very moving account of the USS Liberty, and Candace Owens does a very good job doing this. Hopefully one day Candace Owens will interview Congressional Candidate Mary Silva. You never know you're like in the big city. So listen to what Phil says about the Israelis that initially came up after they'd been attacked and heavily damaged, and then we're going to hear whiny Ben Shapiro.
And kill us all. I was on the main deck when they were coming over.
What is your condition at that moment? What were you doing on the main deck?
I was on the main deck trying to still get people off the main deck. And then they got there, and this Marine, he had his foot on the skid. I thought they were going to come down in a rope or a ladder or whatever. And I just gave him the finger. And he gave it right back to me and just smiled.
This is an IDF soldier. He smiled at you.
Smiling. Great big smile. And then they just took off. The gig was up. I mean, they confessed. Well, mistaken identity. We thought it was the El Khazir, what was a horse transport, and enemy ship. That's what they said, and that was their excuse, and they got by with it because of the crooked government then and now.
I just can't even imagine this. So you're watching your mates die, bleeding, torpedoed, napalm, and you make eye contact with this guy thinking he's going to board the ship. You give him the finger, and he gives you the finger back and smiles at you.
Mm-hmm.
And then they leave.
Maybe he was a pretend Russian Jew. Maybe he was a Russian and a Soviet GRU asset, or just a sympathizer with the Soviet Union. Who knows, hey? Who knows? But I find it very interesting that I first heard about the Liberty in 2003, 2005. And here we are, still talking about it, still not resolved.
They leave, and we were left out there for 17 hours for help.
This is the part that is so shocking to me because the President of the United States knows that you're under attack. The Secretary of Defense knows that you're under attack. You know that, as you said, Captain Tully tried twice to help save you. They know you're under attack, and you're telling me that after they went away, 17 hours. Take me through what you guys did. How many people at that moment were injured, dying? What was happening on that ship for the next 17 hours?
Well, 2/3 of the crew was either dead or wounded. And Doc Kiefer, we had one doc aboard the ship. He had been shot in the abdomen, and both of his knees were shot up. And he operated for 17 stuff.
I'm just going to get to the Ben Shapiro. This piece, oh God, I just can't stand him.
If you think it's a conspiracy, debate me. What you saw, you really didn't see. What you heard, you really didn't hear. That's pretty bad. They're calling us liars, Nazis, and Jew haters, our own Congress. And I'd like to, I tell you what, I'd like to call out Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro.
Sorry, they're very busy with their heads up Netanyahu's ass, Phil. I don't know if they can hear you. You'll have to talk very loud.
With this conspiracy theory stuff. If you think it's a conspiracy, debate me live on TV. I'd be glad to debate you. And my shipmates will be there too if you want them. Debate us if you think it's a conspiracy theory. Or do you have the courage? I don't think you got the courage. I think you're cowards.
2 million views in 24 hours. Whoa.
Can I explain the USS Liberty incident? Sure. The USS Liberty incident is very frequently used by anti-Semites to suggest that Israel deliberately
Who watches this clown? God's sake.
targets American ships and then pays no penalty. So both American naval records and Israeli Air Force records suggest that there was a case of mistaken identity wherein
Just
USS Liberty was in the Mediterranean in a place they were not supposed to be. Israel thought that it was an Egyptian ship and shot it.
Yeah, the NSA ship was in a place it shouldn't have been. So who runs the planet again, Ben? Hey Ben, just jump on the fucking plane, bro. We'll grab your bags. We'll pay for your Uber. We'll drive you there at 5 a.m. We'll get you on that plane to Israel, and you can get in uniform, bruv. Because I hear they need a few fresh bodies, some meat for the grinder.
That's the actual full story. Now, there are a bunch of conspiracy theories on actually both sides of this. There's a conspiracy theory on the American side that suggests that Israel, for no reason that can be discerned, decided to shoot up an American ship to accomplish no one really can explain what. And then on the other side, there is a theory that I've not seen a lot of support for, that the USS Liberty was being used as a transmission vessel to send Israeli military locations to the Egyptians during the 67 war, and Israel knew that and shot it. Again, I think the evidence is lacking on both of those things. Again, there have been multiple naval investigations of the USS Liberty incident. They all come down on the same side, which is that this is a mistaken case of allied, quote-unquote, friendly fire.
Anyways, you guys want
to... what about the great Kay Griggs? Maybe, Candace, you could have Kay Griggs on. How about that? Let's get her up. What does she say about the Liberty and the U.S. State Department? Okay. Give us the good oil. 1997, Kay Griggs talks.
Admiral Geis took over the command of the Forrestal. He was the head of the whole everything for the military when the Liberty was bombarded by the Israelis.
Right.
And one of my best friends, Josie Toth Lennon, you talk about a wonderful, she's been through a lot, woman. I've learned a lot of information from her. Josie's brother was on that ship.
Did he survive?
Of course, no, he was murdered. He was a rising star, brilliant young boy.
I think about 30-some guys died on the SS Liberty, didn't they?
He was one of them. It's now being run by a group that's holding it down. You know, they don't want it. Why don't you? Those Israelis, and yet every Jewish person who's in the military is a member of that army, whatever it is. Now, something is very strange here when you have the whole State Department, not one Christian, not one Protestant in the Near East section, not one Muslim. Why not? They have Jews there. We have Muslims in the Navy. Why are there no Muslims in the Near East section of the State Department? Why are there no born-again Christians or real honest people who are not under some chain of command? Why don't we have anybody who can decide right and wrong, who has to be interpreted, you know? Something is strange when you have a State Department that is run by Israel. There's something really strange. It's no wonder there's
It's nothing strange about it, Kay. It's called subversion. It's called 100 years of subversion.
No peace. Do they want peace? No. They want to control all those little countries around there. And
thank you, Kay. Kay Griggs. How many of you heard of Kay Griggs? Many people haven't. Just to let you know that the State counterterrorism coppers who initially arrested me 2009 had to watch all of my videos and they were blown away. The #1 video, and I had a lot of documentaries I downloaded off torrents and stuff. I mean, everything. All the Holocaust stuff. Ooh, ooh. They were very interested in that too. My goodness. But what was interesting was the K Greek stuff. That was their #1. K Greeks talk 7 hours. Incredible. 1997 interview. Everyone used to talk about K Greeks. Try and find it now. So Candace, Kay is still pretty snappy and smart and articulate. Maybe Candace Owens and maybe Congressional Candidate Mary Silva. Hopefully we're working up to something there. Okay, let's wind this up and we'll get to business. Computer's still working. Did a live stream. That worked. I enjoyed it. We'll do more. We'll have a margarita night, although it's a little cold for margaritas these days. We're going to watch Dr. Mahathir Mohamad of Malaysia. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. We're going to watch what he says about Turkey. He's in Turkey getting interviewed by TRT. You will remember Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. He's the one that said Jews rule the world by proxy. He doesn't hold back. He's up to Oxford. He loves England. One of my heroes. I was a bit upset though, even though I was treated well in Malaysia. I was invited out many interesting places and being groomed by many interesting people. Sometimes I wish I'd gone. If I'd known it was going to be this long. A little naive old me, thinking, you know, I'd get my day in court and get 5 minutes on the television, give the finger and go home with a little paycheck and start my permaculture farm. I mean, that was my fantasy. But I want you to consider all the stuff they're talking about Syria, and Israel's not taken over Syria, has no capacity, but it will get a buffer zone. It's going to increase its land mass into southern Lebanon. Again, is everyone happy now? We all happy? Oh, Israel's going to get it. No, Israel's not getting nothing. Israel's going to take. But now the Islamic network's being taken down, and we're going to see US power move heavily into the region. But Bibi said, Bibi, you can spill some blood of your own, maybe, and you pretend Russian Jews, maybe, I don't know, whatever. And these Islamic terror networks are now being dismantled because Islam wasn't running them, funding them. That takes money. Let's listen to Dr. Mahathir Mohamad for a little while.
Do you think it's bad for the country?
I think it is bad for the country.
What if he gets a second term?
Well, we'll have to stomach it.
Yeah,
This is 2019. Just to give you some background, I don't think you know how important Malaysia is. They do a lot of the chip stuff there, huge assembling. They don't etch the silicon that comes from Taiwan, and they do a whole bunch of stuff. Malaysia, it's one of my favorite places. Kuala Lumpur is my favorite city. It's as cheap as Mexico, but man, it's pumping. You know, you got 7-story buildings full of high tech. I really liked it there. One of my favorite places. It's obviously heavy involved with the Commonwealth, very close with Australia. They fight like cats and dogs, but the managers all get on. Everyone gets on there, and they manage to maintain relative harmony with 3 or 4 different, very distinct ethnic groups. What he's about to say is profound when you take into account Turkey. Look, no one has an independent foreign policy. Everyone does exactly what the United States says. Now, it used to do what certain powers that be, and we remember what Mary wrote to us about what she was hearing in the MAGA meetings. Let's repeat that again. Let's get that up again. He said this exactly. I'll read it to you again. Are you ready? He said this exactly. The globalists used us as the enforcers to continue the old colonial system. Trump is going to reorganize the relationships of the nations of the world on the basis of sovereignty. In other words, we're done with empires. No, you're definitely not done with empires, silly Billy. The United States is no longer going to be an empire. We're going to be very powerful. It's going to have more power as a nation than it ever had before, but it's not an empire and no longer serves to exist as a controller of other nations. He said it is different from the multipolar world order plan. They're shifting to a world of sovereign nation states free from the old world order. Well, let me up, dipshit, boys. Let me tell you, yes, you are an empire, but you're a different empire. It's just, here's what we offer, and you're either in or you're out. If you're not in, we're not going to invade you. We're not going to bomb you. We're just going to bypass you. And that's that simple. In or out of the system, period. So it is the multipolar world order, but in a different form. Now, you're going to have to decide whether you're happy about who's running it. But here's to you. Get offline and fuck off, or engage with the Trump fans. Engage with the system. The system is not Donald Trump. The system is not Steve Bannon. The system is not Susie Wiles. There is a gigantic managerial class at all these three-letter acronyms. All right? Say let's shorten it to the FBI and the DOD. Let's shorten it to that. They have children too. Did you know that? They live and they love and they're scared and they're happy and they're brave and they're sad. Just like you. They are human beings, just like you. When they go to work, they're just going to work. They're punching the clock, just like you. Do they love their children too? Just like you. Always keep that in mind when the belligerence and the cynicism takes you over, as it does for me very often, particularly in the last few weeks. Geez, talk about destabilized perception. Let's watch how the next 12 months go. Let's just wait for the next month. Let's wait and see what happens. But here's my feeling. My feeling is people are getting busy and they are going to re-engage with the world, and there will be an empire. There's going to be an empire. It's going to be an empire of freedom, and it will be exactly as much freedom as you can stand. It will be exactly as much freedom as the average US citizen is willing to put in with it, whether it's via prayer or just via mouthing narratives, whether it's via sharing links, whether it's by making videos, or preferably it's about getting out there on the street. You still have power. This is a multi-decade program, just in the first phase. But you are going to have to decide how you want things to be. If you are not willing to engage, we have nothing to fucking say to each other. So fuck off. Just go away. Go away. There's nothing you can tell me personally in your emails or on your comment sections. Nothing. I already know it. I knew. Most of you are so new, it's almost infuriating. I've been around since 1995. 1995. On the internet, 1998, when you went up and it went on your dial-up fucking modem. All right? I used to be as dumb shit like everyone, but when I was a dumb shit, it was just prior to 2005. So forgive me if I play old and fucking wise. I've earned it. I had to learn the hard way. I had to be mocked and laughed at on Liberty Forum and Knowledge ABS and a whole bunch of places. But finally I woke up. I had some of the best that were out there, the real organic players. Some of them were journalists and university professors under nom de plumes. But now, good after WikiLeaks and Edward Snowden, they've all gone because they're all terrified of being identified because there's no anonymity. So now we just got shit for brains all over the internet. People who just can't think. And a lot of the good ones are gone. They've either died, mostly by natural causes, but a few sus ones, or they've just left or felt threatened or been hacked or harassed, and now we've just got the shit for brains. We've got the controlled opposition and the people for good or ill, as I was told by someone at the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Brendon, these things are handled quietly. I'm still here. But then you're going to go, he must be a Jesuit, he must be... The fact that I just could be Brendon Lee O'Connell, born on October the 27th, 1970 in Noangarup, Bumfucksville, Western Australia, and I'm just a former registered nurse known by hundreds and hundreds of people throughout Perth, Western Australia. My first nurse manager was Anglo-Indian lady, Delilah Guy. I always had great nurse managers. I started on G74 at Sir Charles Gardner Hospital. Then good old Annie, who remembers Annie Buchanan, the old matron lesbian of 5G, the orthopedic ward, trauma ward at Royal Perth Hospital. I've worked just about every hospital in that damn state. That you just can't bear the thought that I could just be exactly as I've said I was. Just can't bear it, can you? Because then that would put the power and the heavy burden and the cross on you to do your bit a bit more than sharing links with your friends. Heaven forfend. Let's quickly watch Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. He's in Turkey. This is 2019.
I wonder what would it mean for the Muslim majority countries. So, for example, when you and President Erdogan sit together and you look ahead, you're planning ahead, what does a Trump-led America present you with? What kind of challenges does that present you with?
Well, what is certain is that Trump will side with Israel, even if Israel break all international laws. He is quite prepared to disregard opinions of the world. He will do what he likes and what he does.
He's 94 there, I might add. It's not coconut oil, palm oil, it's stem cells.
Does sometimes affect us badly.
In 2012, you said that you don't mind being called an anti-Semite.
Well, why is it that people cannot criticize the Israelis, the Jews? We criticize everybody. And people criticize us. They call me a dictator and all that. That is not against the law. Why is it that in this world you cannot say anything against the Jews even when they are doing something wrong?
Isn't that the difference, though? You're saying the Jews when you mean the nation state of Israel, and the two aren't necessarily the same.
Sometimes it's difficult to separate the two. Mainly, of course, it's the Zionists. But people who support the Zionists are found everywhere. And in America, there is a Jewish population that is very influential, and they support the Zionists. And therefore, it's difficult to separate American Jews from Israeli Jews.
You've said the Jews control the world by proxy. What does that mean?
Well, it's quite obvious that they have gained the support of America. And America is a world power. So to the extent that America is a world power and the influence that the Jews will in America, America is acting as a proxy for the Jews.
I wonder if you're familiar with Zakir Naik, who's seen as an Islamic scholar. He's in your country right now, right?
Yeah, here's what's interesting. Did you want to cheer that on, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad? Do you wish you looked that good and that sharp at 94? He's been around so long. I used to love it when I was a teenager, watching him debate Paul Keating, our treasurer and then prime minister, who was a full-on Saul Alinsky student, head kicker, man. In Parliament, he would just tear people apart in the Australian Parliament. Paul Keating, weird-looking guy, 6'4", and he's just pale as a ghost. I remember meeting him at a university function. I was like, Jesus, he's weird. Used to get on with President Suharto of Indonesia, call him Bapa, father, corrupt. He ended he hated the royal families, real New World Order guy. And Mahathir used to go at each other. It was really entertaining. But you see, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, I know a lot of people cheer him, but I'm just curious why it is that when James Corbett visited in 2007, you indicted George W. Bush on war crimes. You didn't for 9/11. You didn't indict Israel. You didn't say Israel did 9/11. James Corbett didn't get up and say Israel did 9/11 at that 2007 conference. And is there any particular reason, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, Tun, father, is there any particular reason why you didn't invite Christopher Bolin to your 2007 conference? Because that was when Christopher Bolin was at the height of his knowledge and power as an alt media journalist, a real journalist. You never invited Chris Bolin on, did you? But you invited James fucking Corbett, and you indicted the global village idiot, number one, because Musk is number two, global village idiot George W. Bush for war crimes. Funny, I didn't hear Israel getting mentioned too much there at that conference. Isn't that funny? Is there any particular reason, Tun, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, is there any particular reason that, I don't know, sent me a check when I was in Malaysia and they said, well, we tried to get you over to W Wet Deck, dickhead, to meet consular staff and oil and gas execs. Well, try harder. I just wanted money in to go by then because I'd become completely disillusioned. I realized you were caught up in the 1MDB scandal, but I busted my gut trying to get conferences on Israel and, of course, all that information, multipolar world order, high technology and all the rest, and how to free America, free the world. But nobody was interested. They were too busy joining the multipolar world order. And then it ended, didn't it? Done. Dr. Mahathir Mohamad is very in with Japan, and he would be in with AUKUS, but then he came back, and I have the whole video footage of that when he came back from the US when he'd been told they fired Mattis and Kissinger reasserted some power with Kushner. And he said, I can't work with these people because now they changed their minds again. He had to go with China. He doesn't like the CCP in China. He doesn't like them. But he had to go with China. Now he's back with the United States, as you would expect. Well, that's that little rundown. I'll do the video tomorrow. I'll get this up. There'll be no editing on this one, but I want to edit the other one. It's an interesting time. I don't want to hear negativity. If you don't like what I say, just fuck off. I'm not interested in idiot comments. What I'm interested in is you downloading flyers. What I'm interested in is using stuff like the USS Liberty, like Jeremy Rothschild did when he went, confronted good old off to the ladies' room, good old Tulsi Gabbard. What's Tulsi Gabbard done lately? What Candace Owens is doing there, I like, is pressuring Donald Trump, because in that whole interview, which you should watch, she challenges Trump to who's running the country. Is Israel running the country? It was a very, very good video. And maybe one day Candace Owens will have Congressional Candidate Mary Silva on. Maybe, I don't know, maybe she'll even have an Australian on one day. Who can say? All right, ladies and gentlemen, sleep well, and we'll talk again very, very soon.